Welcome to From Root to Crown with Rebby Goebel, your guide to self-discovery and personal growth. I'm your host and a certified trauma-informed breathwork facilitator, Reiki master healer, and intuitive guide. Join me as we explore spirituality, alternative healing, and tools like breathwork, human design, astrology, and meditation to help you lead a more balanced, aligned, and joyful life. Remember, you are your own teacher and medicine. Keep listening for practical tips to incorporate this week's insights and inspiration on your transformative journey. Hello, and welcome back to From Root to Crown. This is episode 5, Energy Work and Reiki, Unleashing the Healing Power Within. Today, we are going to talk about my experiences with Reiki, some of the experiences some of my clients have had with Reiki, as well as what it really is and why it is a practical, useful part of my life and how it can be just the same for you. So Reiki is one of those things that I think really finds you and chooses you. It came into my awareness really obliquely from the side, right? So I had signed up to do a workshop that was 2 hours long, and it included Reiki as a little piece at the end. And to be quite honest, I was really skeptical at the beginning. I went in, I was really interested in the other pieces. There was going to be some yoga and a little bit of talk about astrology. And I really liked one of the creators that was putting on this workshop. And she had partnered up with another woman who was going to do Reiki for this Zoom call, this workshop that I was on. And I remember thinking, okay, sure. You send me energy over the internet, right? These two women were in Toronto. This was all over Zoom that we were, having this workshop. And I just thought, okay, you send me energy. And I had an absolutely intense and wild experience with it, to the point where at the end I thought, oh my goodness, what was that? It was, again, a group setting, nothing one-on-one, and over Zoom. And I could actually feel energy moving inside my body. I could feel the sensation of temperature change and feel the energy moving throughout my body. And I thought, placebo or not, this is really wild. So I signed up for another workshop and wasn't able to attend that one live. I ended up listening to the replay and having an even more intense experience with that one. Watching a recorded replay of a group session that I hadn't even attended at first. And so I remember thinking, oh my goodness, if this is how intense this is. And to be completely clear, nothing was uncomfortable. It was not bad. It was not shocking. It was not too much. It was just way more than I was anticipating. And it really, I could feel the sensations in my body and really woke me up to a part of my body, my energy system, that I didn't even know existed prior to this. So I remember thinking, I wonder what one-on-one would feel like if it was just me. So I booked my first Reiki session with now the woman that I have worked with over the last 4 years. And it was a really great experience. It was a really great session. And shortly thereafter, I noticed that I started to feel those sensations on my own as I was in my meditation practice. If you've listened to the first couple of episodes here on the podcast, you know that meditation was really my entry point into this spiritual world. So having a strong meditation practice at that time, I could feel Reiki start to rise within my own body. but I wasn't in control. I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't necessarily doing anything with it. It was just, oh, interesting. I'm feeling this without calling for it. And this led to me getting a couple more one-on-one Reiki sessions. And over the course of a couple of months, I really saw a change in my own energy and in the way that I was able to work through and process some things. This was in late 2020, early 2021. We had just put my dad into a nursing home, into memory care for Alzheimer's during the pandemic. So we had to move him in and then walk away from him and not have contact for a while. And there were long stretches where we couldn't have contact. And as the oldest daughter, I was in charge of managing a lot of that move. And I was going through a tremendous amount of guilt and grief and big feelings about that whole situation. And Reiki was really helping me in a way that therapy wasn't getting me to. Therapy was a very important part of dealing with other people and working through that situation. But it was really those 6 to 8 months of Reiki that gave me a deeper compassion for myself in a way that just thinking about it wasn't doing. So fast forward, I decided that if Reiki was going to be rising in my body on its own, I needed to learn how to control it myself. So I took the steps to become a certified Reiki practitioner. And if you're interested in the different levels and what that means to progress through a Reiki certification, I have an FAQ on my website that I will link in the show notes. You can get all of the information about Reiki and the different levels there. But for the intents and purposes here of today, that was in 2021, and I have not looked back. Working with Reiki has been absolutely life-changing for me, and it's an opportunity to really support my clients in such a beautiful way. I recently did a large group Reiki session where I had about 42 people in the room, and I did 45 minutes of group Reiki for everybody. And the intention that I set for the group was just that what was ready to be released would be released, and that it would be a fresh start. This was in early January, so fresh starts were on everybody's mind. After the session, I had multiple people come up to me and tell me about their experiences, how they felt tingling in their feet, or how they felt it in their head, or they felt a lot of warmth in their heart space. But this one particular woman came up to me with tears in her eyes, and she was like, I need to tell you something. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And she said, I have had some trauma in my past, and it has given me the worst TMJ. And for almost 2 years, I have been fighting this TMJ. I've done physical therapy. I've spent thousands of dollars on Botox injections in the TMJ joint to try and get this to release. She's gone through mouth guards and all sorts of things to try and get her jaw to release and to stop feeling the need to clench her jaw muscle. And she said, you started Reiki, and I felt this absolute relaxation and release in my jaw. And I don't feel the need to clench. I haven't felt the need to clench in now 40 minutes, and I don't even know what to do with myself. And she was just beside herself that the relief was so immediate and physical and quantifiable for her that she was just in awe. And she has come subsequently to another group Reiki session that I held at a local yoga studio. and had a similar experience. And Reiki is so beautiful for working through things. Now, do I think Reiki alone could have solved her problem? Probably not. We can get into that here later in the podcast of what it's good and used for. But I want to start this by saying I believe in Western and Eastern practices, that you need both Western and Eastern medicine and care for your body. I'm not totally holistic on one side, and I'm also not going to doubt or discount the very real effects that Eastern practices have on our system as well. Let's get into what Reiki actually is. Reiki is universal life force. And whether you call this prana or chi or the Holy Spirit, every culture and civilization calls it by a different name. But nobody's arguing that it actually exists. Whether you call it a placebo effect or not, we're not arguing that this energy exists and that there is an effect that can be felt by us by connecting with this energy. And even if you're a skeptic, the fact that you are listening to my voice wirelessly over the airwaves, you already believe that energy can be transmitted through the air. Energy can get transmitted through magnets on our phones. Energy gets transmitted through the air all the time, whether it's radio waves, TV waves, Wi-Fi. You have already bought into this idea that energy can transmit information and that we can receive the benefits of transmitted energy, whether it's information or whether it's something that we feel. Some people are just more attuned or able to tap into that energy without needing a device between that energy and themselves. And if you believe that you are made up of energy and your phone in your hand is made up of energy and the rocks and the trees and everything is made out of energy, the science has proven this, then it makes sense that we can tap into and use this energy for our benefit. So someone who channels Reiki has just learned a specific practice and way to channel into this life force energy that flows through absolutely everything on this rock spinning through space and use it for your highest good. So it makes sense that we would need to work with this energy just like you would work with your body. You don't do one set of sit-ups and expect to have the perfect set of abs. And you don't go to a massage therapist once and expect your shoulders to never have knots. You don't, do something one time and expect to be a master. And just like you have to feed your body every day, you need to work with your energy every day. So working with Reiki is a daily practice for me and something that doesn't have to be big and complicated. I love thinking about all the different ways that I use Reiki. I mentioned that it's really great in aiding any sort of physical healing that you're doing. From the woman who experienced the release in her TMJ clenching issues to the fact that Reiki is provided by the top 5 cancer hospitals in the United States as a complimentary service for their inpatient patients. They provide Reiki because they know that the people who receive Reiki have better outcomes during their cancer treatments. And we're talking the Mayo Clinic, we're talking Sloan Kettering, we're talking the big names in medicine here have recognized that Reiki is a supportive practice to have when you are trying to heal from trauma and cancer and those types of things. Do you also need chemo and radiation? Probably. I'm certainly not a medical professional. I can't tell you yes or no, but we know that Reiki improves outcomes, and Reiki makes, if nothing else, it works holistically so that while you are there getting your body taken care of, in the example of cancer treatment, Reiki helps support spirit and mind and energy so that it's a holistic treatment that they're getting instead of just focusing on this one piece of who you are as a total package. So Reiki is absolutely beneficial for supporting physical healing. A couple of summers ago, my young son was riding his bike. We live pretty close to the high school in our community, and he was riding his bike with my husband. My husband was just behind him, and my son took off across the parking lot and didn't see that there was a rope strung up in between two light poles to keep people from driving through the parking spaces. So this rope was there, didn't see it. It caught him directly across the throat and ripped him off of his bike. We were very, very fortunate that it didn't damage his neck, that it didn't crush his windpipe, that there wasn't any structural damage in the accident, but he did have this terrible 6-inch long rope burn that really went from side to side on his poor little neck. And this happened right after I first started working with Reiki. And I asked him, he was probably 10 or 11 at the time. And I asked him if I could try giving him Reiki. And so a couple of times a day, I'd have him lay down, excuse me, and I would just hover my hands over his throat to beam the Reiki energy in. And I can tell you that there is not a single bit of scar tissue there. You cannot tell that he ever had this inch wide and 6-inch long rope burn all the way across his neck. So Reiki is a beautiful complement. Were we also putting Neosporin on it and doing all the other things? Absolutely. But it's really, really helpful for those types of things. Post-surgery, during childbirth, all of those things, Reiki is a support for what you're going through in those moments. It can also be really supportive, as I mentioned in my own story, on working with any sort of mental health issues that you might be working through, whether that's trauma in your past, intergenerational trauma and issues, whether you're working through anxiety or stress or grief. Reiki is really supportive in just helping make sure that as what comes in can flow through and go out, right? We don't want things getting stuck in our energy system where we hold on to it and it doesn't have the chance to be expressed and flow through our systems and move on so that we can move forward from whatever it is that we're still struggling with. And then there's also really mundane things that I use Reiki to support me in my daily life. I use Reiki on traffic all the time. I have a really bad habit of thinking that it only takes me 15 minutes to get anywhere, which isn't always true. And so I will use Reiki on traffic to get me where I need to be, to get people out of my way, make sure there's not an accident ahead of me. I use it to protect my car. I use it to protect myself. I am highly empathetic and really pick up on the energy of the situation that I'm in and the situation and the other people around me. And so I will use Reiki to create an energetic bubble around myself to make sure that I am protecting my energy from influences, from outside influences. I also will use it, like I said, on my kids. You can use Reiki on your pets. So if you have a stressed out or anxious dog, you can use Reiki on them. And you can also use Reiki on your food and your water to cleanse it, to make sure that it's working with your highest good, and to really just support yourself from the inside out. So I will use Reiki multiple times throughout the day just to support myself as I go. And it's as simple as setting an intention. And if you are deep into a meditation practice or working with energy, this came up a lot in my breathwork certification program, where people who have never worked deeply with energy before all of a sudden are steeped in this and really working with clients and their clients' energy through breathwork, and found they're like, it feels like I have a ball of energy in my hands, or I can feel energy moving through my body. What do I do with it? And that's them awakening to Reiki. So if you start to feel that, just know that it's a beautiful, natural part. Everyone is connected to Reiki. Everyone is connected to this universal life force because it flows through all of us. So if you feel it start to rise, if you start to connect to it, allow it, just let it be, and then decide how you want to pursue it if it's something that you're interested in. I have my Reiki level 1 class up where I teach people how to connect and work with Reiki for themselves and for friends. And my Reiki level 2 class will be coming out later this year, where I teach people even deeper into the tradition and the methodologies where you can start to do it for other people as part of your profession and your business. But if you are interested in this, obviously I see clients for this all the time and would love to share Reiki with you or just have a discussion about it. Reiki has been a really beautiful and surprising part in my life, and was one of those times where I was really happy that I was proved wrong, that it's, again, I came into it pretty skeptical and was happily proven wrong because, again, whether you call it the Holy Spirit or the placebo effect or Reiki, we all agree that it exists and people can receive energy. Whether you've ever received a text or an email that you felt in your body, somebody said something really nasty or mean, or just something really sad. If you ever received that note written in a, like I said, in a text or an email, but felt it in your body, you have received energy that was transmitted through time and space, right? So if you've ever sent somebody your thoughts and prayers, that's basically just Reiki. So I bet that you use Reiki without even realizing that that's what it is already. As with anything that I share here on the podcast or with my clients, I really encourage you to play and experiment. See if you can get Reiki to rise on your own during a meditation. If you've never experienced Reiki, I have some group sessions coming up over the next couple of months that will be released onto newsletter subscribers first. And it's a beautiful way to experience Reiki, especially we'll have a couple virtual ones where you're going to be in your own home, in your own safe spot. You don't have to get out anywhere before or after, and you're safe in your own little Zoom square. So if you are interested, please head to my website to see what I have in store over the next couple of months. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope that I was able to answer some questions for you. I hope that you continue to tune in to From Root to Crown with Rebby. I'm so thankful for every single one of you and hope to get to work with you one-on-one here soon. Next week, I have a mini guided meditation for you lined up where we are going to be releasing what no longer works for you. As we are fully in spring season here, I want you to take a look at what's in your past, what maybe you've been hanging on to and are ready to release. So that is queued up for you. And then in 2 weeks, I have my first interview for you. We're going to be talking all about astrology. What is it? Why do you need to pay attention to it? And again, how you can use it in really practical ways in the normal, mundane life that most of us lead. Thank you for joining me today. As you navigate your path, may you continue to honor and trust your intuition, cultivate self-love, and embrace the beauty of your unique journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and review From Root to Crown with Rebby Goebel on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback is invaluable and helps us reach more wisdom seekers just like you. Stay connected by following me on social media at Rebby Goebel. And remember, you hold the power to create the life you desire. Until next time, may your roots be strong and may your crown be open to source.